Hi, everybody. It's 10:30 exactly, and then we're going to start. Okay, so no more keeping everybody waiting. I'm going to give a quick intro, and then we're going to talk about researching a property. So real quick intro for today is I'm going to talk about getting into commercial real estate. In Queens, most agents do residential, but they want to learn commercial. And the problem is that it's hard to learn how to do commercial. To work at a big firm like Cushman or JLL or CBRE, you have to interview there, and it's not easy to get the job. They want people that are experienced. At Project Queens, we try to make it easy for residential agents to smoothly transition into commercial. So one of the most important things that we have as a commercial company is the MLS. This is because we want our marketing for our properties to reach more people. But at the same time, it's also for agents to be able to do the residential deals while they're here, while they're learning commercial real estate. Currently, as of December 2020, we have a really, really good split on residential deals. So you could come in here, do your residential while you learn. It may not be like that forever. So if you're interested in making a transition while getting a good split on your resi deals, inquire as soon as possible. As far as learning how to do commercial real estate, what Project Queens offers are deals to work on. So we lock down the exclusive listings, and our training process goes something like, after we get the listing, after we all do all the research, which we're going to review today how to do that, and set all the terms with the owner, which we reviewed terms in the other classes. I'll probably do a class about how to talk about the terms with the owner and actually set them. And after we do all of the marketing, which we have not gone over, and that'll be for a later class, we select a agent to show the property, and the showing agent will learn everything there is to learn about the property by logging into our CRM, where all the information is available. And the broker, manager, or one of the listing agents will help you do this. And after you review the property, we tell you how to show it. So it's how to prepare for the showing, how to do the showing, and how to follow up on the showing. So in this way, you get to learn all the basics of commercial real estate while working on an actual deal and watching it from the beginning, watching it after showing how it closes, and you get paid for it. And when you level up and are good with this beginning process, there's other levels of agents and splits that we provide where you do more for the listing, and you'll receive a bigger share of the listing. And the goal would be to, one, work as a company together, but also get you to a point where you can go get your own listings and work on your own connections, right? And really make this something of value to you. If you're interested in learning more, just contact us at Project Queens. And today we are in class number 4 of the essentials of a commercial real estate listing. I'm going to speak slower because I was told to speak slower. Actually, when we do listing videos, I speak very slowly, so I can speak slower. We're going to learn how to research a property. So there are several things you can do to research a property. And let's just start with, why will you research a property? Well, because you know someone that owns a property, or you know someone that wants to purchase a property or lease a property. So what's the first thing? Someone gives you the address, right? So once you get a property address, there's several things you can learn about the property from public resources. So I'm going to share my screen a little bit right now. Let me just move this over. I'm going to share my screen right now. Share. All right, so what we're going to do is go to everyone's going to see all my special links. Is that giving up too much information? No, this is good. If anyone wants to research this stuff, Oasis NYC is something I love to use because it's free. We'll go with a business search, and we'll go to the tax department. And what you want to do is, like, I don't want to pull out anyone's specific property here, so we're just gonna go random. So whoever gets picked gets picked. Oasis will give you the official street addresses. It'll give you, you know, who owns the property, the zoning, and things like that. So we're just gonna pick a property at random. And this is oasisnyc.net. It only works for New York City. So if you're in Long Island, you're out of luck. What it's going to do is show this location report. So over here, you have the actual address. A lot of the time you get an address and it's not the right address. And it says it's a residential 1 and 2 family building. The owner is Chun Yi M. Liu. The block and lot is 6369 lot 3. So the block and lot is really important because that's the real specific property designation that will tell you what property it is. And that block and lot is also what we're going to use in the Department of Finance to look at the tax. So Oasis also tells you, you know, how many floors, what's the zoning, and you know, some other good information here. Now, very similar to this site is a company called Property Shark, which a lot of you have heard of. And Property Shark gives you a much more detailed report. I forgot how much it costs. It's either like $500 or like $1,000 a year. And that's what a lot of companies use. And it'll give you a much more detailed report. If you sign up to the Premier functions, it'll like link you to more contacts. But in general, the base function will tell you the building size, the zoning, and just a lot more information about the building in general. Now, these things are very important because this is what you start your research on. Oasis, like I said, is free, so I like to use that. Personally, what I use is I don't use Oasis that much, and I don't use Property Shark that much. I use a company called CoStar, which is basically like the MLS for commercial real estate. It's very, very expensive. So, you know, I don't expect, and I don't think a lot of agents will be using that in the beginning. But you have these free resources to kind of get you started. What you want to do is, after you know the block and lot, you go to the Department of Finance, and this doesn't always happen, but a lot of the time it does. When you go to the Department of Finance, you go to the BBL search, which is the block and lot search. They have these designations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the boroughs, and you just enter in, you know, block and lot. And you know, I did something that is not real, so we'll just take this at random again. I hope this is okay. So that's the property we just randomly picked out. You see it's the same owner name, and then you go, here's like all this stuff. You could get familiar with all these different tabs. They're pretty self-explanatory, but what you really want to do is go to property tax bills. You click on November 1st. You can see it's all public record. You can see how much tax the property is annually, whether there are any abatements for Star or geez, I forgot. Any abatements for tax. For a lot of new developments, there's abatements where the tax is really, really low. That's what happens when you do commercial leasing for too long. You forget all like the sales terms. But that's the Department of Finance. I like the government resources because they're for real and they're accurate, or as accurate as possible. The next thing when you're doing commercial real estate is, a lot of the times these companies are under LLCs or business, the title holder. So when you research this and you go into something more commercial, let's just say here, this big property is definitely a commercial owner. You'll see the owner is, well, that's it says tenants, so that might be just like a big residential building. Let's go into Main Street. Let's go to Main Street, somewhere not too big. And you have in trust of Gary Hertz. That's a trust. You have something like 39 Garden Plaza condo is the owner. So what you would do is take this. I'm not trying to dig into too many people's business stuff. But this is all public record. I just don't want to post a YouTube video of all this stuff. You throw it in here, and you throw it in again. I don't know why I always do it twice, but no business entities are found. It's weird. Usually doesn't happen. But you pluck out another one. Cooper Hotel Investor. That sounds like a weird name. Sometimes it's blank, the owner. Let's go with one that I'm gonna, another trust. Let's go with this one. So you copy that. You throw it back into the business search, and you search, and you search, and there it is. And then now you have like the owner's information, like where their quote unquote office is, and this. And what happens is like you use this information for your documents, your listing agreements, your contracts, and things like that, because that's the owner's official address that's on record. So that's that. Now, after you get that base information, what you're really looking for when you're researching a property is, you know, the value of it. If you're doing a sale, you want to find out the sale. If you're doing a lease, you want to see how much you can lease for. And that process works very similarly to if you're a residential agent doing comps on the MLS. So what you would do is kind of highlight an area or run a search that has similar characteristics of your property in a similar neighborhood and pull all those up. And out of all those results, you're going to look at what similar properties sold for and why. Now, I'm going to just show you a quick little clip. I'm going to pause to share. So is it back to me? Cindy, is the video back to me? I'm just curious.
The video is still on your share.
Got it. So I'm going to stop the share. Okay, so now the video is back on me? All right, interesting. All right, so I'm still learning these functions. Everything's a work in progress. So it's very similar to an MLS search. And I'm going to show you a quick little like clip from CoStar, which is the only real company that I personally know of where you can do these searches, right? So you pay for the MLS as a residential agent. What's the other way to do it if you don't have the MLS? You can go on Zillow and look manually at all the different stuff that's moved, and then kind of see. You let Henry in?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you can do it manually and see one by one what a similar house sold for, and then on the same token, you can see what's on the market currently right now on Zillow, right? If you're a buyer looking for a house, new properties keep popping up. If your price is in like 700 to 800,000 range, every time a new one comes up, you're like, oh, look at this one's priced here. Oh, this one's priced at 950,000. That's way overpriced. You kind of know what's going on. But that way is very labor intensive because it's like on Zillow and it's one-on-one. When you go to the MLS, you kind of do this map search and it gives you a big list and you could just kind of compare it like that, right? So I'm going to show this real quick clip of, oh no, I didn't record, Cindy. I'm going to record now. It's going to be super cut off, but whatever. So I'm going to show you this really quick clip, and we're doing a researching a property. I just hit the record button, so sorry to like throw this in there right now, but we are researching a property. This is class number 4 for commercial real estate listings, and I'm like 20 minutes deep, but I just hit the record button. We are going to look at now the important thing, which is how to research a property on CoStar. So I'm going to share this screen. And I'm going to hit share, and we're going to go right here to this CoStar tutorial. So
properties. You can be confident that you have every
let's
property
go back
and
to
every
here.
list. Filtering on.
So it's going to look a lot like the MLS.
Tracks every building, whether it's on the market or not. That's over 5 million commercial real estate properties. You can be confident that you have every property and every listing. Of course, your requirements are often very specific, and you need to respond fast. CoStar is designed to help navigate your way to the exact information you need. We make it easy to pinpoint what you're looking for, and we deliver the data and contact information that helps you get the deal moving. Here's how. Search for properties using any number of geographic parameters, including market, submarket, zip code, and radius. Zoom into a specific geographic zone using our polygon search. It doesn't matter what type of property you're looking for. We track information on office, industrial, retail, multifamily, hospitality, and land. Based on what property type you're looking for, CoStar will identify subtypes so you can further refine your search. Drill down even further by searching for specific rental rates, occupancy levels, space requirements, and CoStar's proprietary star rating. Maybe you're looking for properties of a specific owner you've worked with. You can search by any contact name. Only looking for properties that fall within a specific demographic requirement? We have that covered for you as well. With CoStar, you have a partner solely committed to helping you pinpoint the perfect opportunity. But it goes beyond just finding listings. CoStar can help you
All right,
spot investment opportunities.
so anyone that's familiar with the MLS can see that that's like very similar. You do the search, and then they didn't show it over there, but like when you hit like reports or list, it shows everything. It shows the price, the size, what date it was listed, what date it sold, all that stuff, right? So that will give you, just like on the MLS, like this comp report, right? And I'm going to compare this to residential because this is really where the class is aimed at, like converting residential agents to commercial agents. What happens is that, okay, so let's say you're in Bayside, right? And you're like comping out 40 by 100 lots, and the building size is like 38 by 90, and everything's that size, and you pull up 50 of them, right? And you see ranges from 700 to 1,000. Like, that's not enough to accurately comp it. You have to look at the zoning. Some of them are R2, some of them are R3, some of them are R4. It just happened to be like a one-family house on it right now, right? So the zoning changes the price. You have to actually visit the properties, right? To go inside and see the renovation. Like, is this house falling apart, or is it a brand new renovation? That's going to change the price of the home anywhere from $100 to $200, even maybe $300,000 if it's really nice, right? In Bayside. So those are some factors that you need to look into that go above and beyond the database searches, right? The location of the property, the school district, all these little nuances to really pinpoint what the property is, right? On top of that, these comps, and they just say what happened in the market before, right? And the other part of the equation, right, is going to see what's on the market now. But no one knows just by looking at the data and the websites what the actual activity on the markets are, on the listings on the market are. You can look at the length of time that it's been listed to give you an indication, but the real active brokers who have multiple properties in an area, they know more than just that. They know the offers that are coming in. They know the negotiations with the owners. They know all the feedback from the buyers and what they want right now and why. So you get the real-time analysis of what the price is. So, there's a reason why Project Queens focuses and specializes in commercial leasing in Queens. And the reason is this. For those of you with some experience in real estate, how many times have you jumped around from location to location, whether you're in Queens and in Bayside, and then someone that has a property in Sunset Park in Brooklyn, and then someone with a property in Long City, and your friend has a midtown condo, like nice, expensive, condo in Manhattan that you want to sell. And you jump around from neighborhood to neighborhood, doing that same exact search we just talked about, pulling it up on the MLS, right? Now you're in Brooklyn, you don't have the MLS anymore. You gotta like ask a friend. In Manhattan, it's a different one, and you pull up the info, but you still don't really know what the price is. Just sending this report to the owner and saying, "Oh, that's what it says. What do you think?" You're really relying on the owner to tell you a price, and for some agents out there, you pick a price that's high to get the listing, right? Only to find out, but you think it could sell. You're looking at the comps, you're trying to work hard to get the deal. Only to find out that after you list the property, you take the pictures, you get your listing agreement, and you post it for like 3 months, you do a bunch of showings, that you're like way, way, way off on the price, right? You're always way off on the price on the high side. You're never way off like on the low side. We're like, man, we listed this for way too cheap. There's a million offers. Why not? Because when you tell that price to the owner, what do they say? Are you crazy? I'm not selling my house for this price. Get out of here. I'm hiring broker B, right? But then you say, oh, then we're going to list it up here. Trust me, I could get that price. And then what happens is the owner says, okay, I mean, the owner doesn't know you. They don't know your experience, right? And whatever you project to them is what you're trying to sell them. And if you're kind of stretching it just to get a listing, this happens all the time in real estate, right? The owner's like, okay, if you think you get it, I'll hire you. I'll hire you to, I'll put you on a 3-month exclusive. And then you list it, and you sit there for 3 months, and every single feedback you get is like, this was way overpriced. This is way overpriced, right? And then what happens is like the owner, like a face popped up on the screen as it threw me off. The owner's like, I thought you could move it for this price. And you're like, oh, it's way overpriced. Now you got to renegotiate it down. And they're like, they may stick with you, or they may just like go with someone else and say like, oh, they promised me this, but we had no showings. What I'm trying to say is a huge waste of time, right? So I want to compare and contrast like 2 different scenarios, right? The first is I'm doing 1 deal in Brooklyn, 1 deal in Manhattan, and 1 deal in Queens. I have no idea what the markets are like because I have no experience. I have no traction in these markets. So I do the MLS search, right? And I say, okay, I guess that's the price. And then maybe I ask a couple of friends and I'm like, hey, do you know this area? Do you know this area? Do you know what the price should go for, right? And you're relying on them, and they may not know, but they might try to help you, right? And then you go speak to the owners, and you have to figure out like the school districts and the zoning and what certain things go for. It's not just the sold prices, but like how all the different stuff affects it. And you throw up the listing and you pray it moves, and usually it doesn't move. And then hopefully the owner is like nice enough and you like have a good enough relationship where you can lower the price and it moves eventually. But 9 out of 10 times it just doesn't move, even if you extend it by like the 3rd to 6th month. Then you learn at that point from the feedback and from this specific type of property, right? What it should go for, right? So you do that in Brooklyn, and now your next listing's in Midtown Manhattan, and you have to do it again. And then your next listing's in Queens, and you have to do it again. And then you go back to Brooklyn, but it's a different neighborhood. And instead of a single family house that's built and just selling as is, it's a single family house that's zoned R4, and it's really like a 3-family development site. And you have to do it again, right? And you're wrong every time, running around like a crazy person. Now, look, that works, kind of. Doesn't work for me, but people do that, and whatever. Now, imagine you're in one area, right? And you do your first property, same thing. You don't know anything, but you learned the property because you did the search, you listed it, you got the feedback, you asked a bunch of people, other brokers came to the area that you became friendly with, right? And now in your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th listing in the same area, you can pull up the comps and you understand them better. Then you have your own internal feedback from your previous listings of what people are going to pay and what's like the current market feel, right? And the current market opinion. Then you've made some friends who are other brokers in the area or other owners in the area or other buyers in the area, right? And you can call them back. Maybe it's 6 months later. You give all of them a call back. Maybe you met a really killer listing agent out there and say, her name's Stephanie. Like, Stephanie, I got a new listing. Can you just do me a favor and tell me what you think this is worth? Oh yeah, I got 5 properties here, and that's definitely like that. You have to go check out the inside and see if they have a seal for the basement. Whatever, right? Now you're going into these appointments fully equipped with an expertise in the area. And rather than just throwing a high price up there to get the listing, you can have a different kind of negotiation with the owner, right? And you can tell them, look, I know this area. I've been doing this area. I know the pricing, and this is the current feedback. If you price it at $950,000, that's way too much. It's gonna sit there. It's not gonna move. I'm not gonna waste your time. But I can do yada XXXXX service, and we price it at $875, and I can move it. And you could say that confidently. And if you did it, you could get the listing. They'll be happier with your service. And like the real kicker is like, you're right. Like, it really could move at $875. So you got the listing, and then it actually sold, and you make money, right? And the seller's like, you're the first honest agent that told me that other people told me you could sell for what, 1.2 million. So we went with you, and we thank you for your time, and I'm gonna refer you to my friends, right? So I like it much better this way. There's a lot of different reasons aside from what I just said to work in one market, but well, that's we'll take that as it gets there. So key takeaways are, you have to do your database search. It is super important. I pay a lot of money for CoStar to be able to do that. Then you have to be able to ask other professionals, whether they're owners, brokers, or whoever, mortgage people, about the area and get a second opinion. Third, and the best, is that you yourself are experienced in the area, and you have an internal feeling that's better. As brokers, our internal feeling is better than everyone else's, because a lot of people are looking at data or past data. We can know, like, yeah, that comp said this price a month ago, but in the past 2 weeks, these are the new offers I've been getting all of a sudden. Like, we're the most current to the market out of any of the professionals. And that's like a tremendous value for people. So you have all those resources. If you don't have experience, if you work at Project Queens, then you can rely on the brokerage to give you information on a current location. But and that's why it's called Project Queens. And if you have something in Brooklyn, I'm going to say I have no idea. And if they say, do you want to do a listing? I'll say, I'm personally going to refer it. If you want to go for it, you go for it. So that's like the calculation for what we're doing. So this is going to lead us to the next part of figuring out a property. And the reason we're figuring out this property is to get the listing, right? And to be able to move it at the end. We want to set ourselves up for success. So we looked at the public information. We looked at the broker information of how to really price it. And now that we have the price in mind, the next thing we need to do for the listing is speak to the owner about the terms that they want to set for the listing. If my conclusion is that a property should sell for $900,000, and I have every possible source to back it up, and that's actually what's going to happen, and you tell the owner, hey, I'm so good at my job, this is exactly what's going to happen, and the most you could get is $900,000, and this is what you should do. Surprise, the answer most of the time is, I want $1 million. Oh, gosh. All right, so let's recap this and figure out how we're going to get you that $1 million, or figure out how we're going to try to get $1 million, and then schedule it down a little bit, right? So not all of this information is set in stone. So when you're discussing the price, and Project Queen's a commercial leasing company, so even more important is, like, when you're setting the lease price, and all the other terms, the owner is going to, if you're good at your job and if you are able to communicate your expertise the right way, they're going to ask you for your opinion on the price. They're going to ask you for the opinion on the terms, like how we went over in the other classes. What should the tax be? Who pays the utilities, right? They're going to ask your opinion on how long a lease should be, and what if other brokers come into the equation? How are they going to be compensated? Are you going to pay them? Am I going to pay them? They're going to ask you, what is the probable tenant that's going to lease this space? They're going to ask you, what's the probable buyer? What have you been seeing in the market? And if you can speak to the owners intelligently and give your opinion, a lot of the time they'll take your advice. That's what they're hiring you for. The days of throwing listings on the wall to see if it sticks just because you might know some people, maybe because of the way you look, that's pretty long over. I mean, in 2014 to 2017, maybe that could happen, but it's tougher now. Just catching myself here. Sorry, give me a second. Yeah, so as you're discussing these terms with the owner, that's the final step, right? To coming to an agreement of basically the most important thing, of what price you're going to list it at. Now, the owners almost all the time want to list it higher than the market, and they should want to do that because they want to see if they're able to get that price. Now, what you need to do is, instead of just saying, okay, I'll get you the price, you need to speak to them and understand why they want that price. So after my long explanation about why a property should be 900,000, and they still want $1 million, my conversation goes something like this. Okay, so you understand that, your property has something special to it, right? And we can try to get $1 million. It's possible if we find the right tenant at the right time, but it's really worth 900,000. So what we can do is market it at $1 million for like a month or two, and I'll report on it with all the leads and all the feedback. But if it doesn't hit that, are you trying to reduce the price to 950 to 900, or do you want $1 million no matter what? You want to know this stuff ahead of time while you're listing it. Our job as brokers is service to our client, and all of our clients have different needs. Some are just kind of testing the market and will only sell if they get their price. Some are in dire situations and need as much money as possible, but at the end of the day, if they can't get it, they're willing to lower it. Some, they don't want the highest price. Maybe they just want to list on a higher price just for like 2 weeks just to see. But they really, really just want to move it quickly. I've had conversations before where I say, you should list it here. And they're like, no, that's too much. Let's just be realistic and get it done. And I'm like, yeah, perfect. If that's what you want, that is what I'll do. So you want to be good enough and well-educated enough on your listing, due diligence, I guess, on the research on the property. This is what this class is about. But on a bigger scale of things, you want to be able to have a larger understanding of the consultative services, about your client's needs, about how the whole process works, all of that stuff, the whole 360 degrees of brokerage, so you can see what they want, make a plan that works for them, and both of you go execute the plan. Now, and knowing that the plan needs to work for you, right? So, it's really lovely to get to a point where you can reject business, right? My first 5 years, I said yes to everything, no matter what, out of principle, to learn, to make money because I needed it, all that stuff. But now it's like, with all of the stuff that I'm explaining to you today, if someone comes at me with something that's ridiculous, I'm too busy. I don't need to work with stuff like that. And I can tell them my opinion, but if what they want doesn't align with what I can provide or what I'm willing to provide, I'll just tell them straight up. And I'm saying, look, I would love to help you, but I can't because of this. If you want to change your mind, here's my number, call me back. I'd be happy to help. But what you're asking for, I don't think is possible, so I can't do it. And that cuts out like all like the bullshit deals that aren't going to close anyway, that you got to spend money and time on. So there are, I'm going to close with this and then we'll go with questions. This was short, but it's a big topic, and you kind of just got to work through these things yourself as well. And you can do that here at the company if you're here and you need help. But there's so much to this process. Even in the research alone, which this class is about, is you need other brokers, maybe some mortgage people, you need other services. Even within CoStar, I call my CoStar data rep to help me like search properly and how do I use it. I call them all the time. Now, when you expand into all the different things that can happen in a listing, attorneys, zoning people, contractors, it's really, we have to wear a lot of hats as the people that start the deal and finish the deal. And it's impossible to do it yourself, right? And if you try, you're just going to give bad service. And if you're just trying to do as much as you can, like a numbers game, and you eat what you kill as much as possible, I mean, sure, whatever, that's how you do it. But if you can have a solid network of people because you're running the same deals in the same area and you have your own expertise and you approach a deal like that on a listing appointment, that's real professionalism, and you will get hired for stuff and you will get paid for stuff. And that's what, when you look at the Real Deal, or you look at Traded, or you look at $1 million listing, or hear stories about these brokers that make tons of money and represent these big companies, it's because they have real expertise. They're really adding value, and they're organized, and they're service oriented, and those are the real long-term winners in this game. So I'm gonna end it there, and we could go with questions and stuff. If you wanna, Cindy, if you wanna open up. So we've never done this before. If you wanna like allow people to ask questions and unmute them, maybe right in the chat. But if nobody wants questions, then we'll just end it. So I'll let it sit. I'll let it sit for a little bit.
Hey, Michael, can you hear me? Hello?
It looks like the way Will is talking, but it looks like I cannot hear him.
Oh yeah, is Will talking?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, okay, we can hear you now. Hello? Hi, Will.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all your insight wisdom over the past 5 years. I think it's invaluable what you've done in the marketplace for Queens. I think, definitely making waves and impact. I'm curious about, if you were to start this journey in 2020 in December and do this all over again, would you still pick Queens, or which market would you pick? And also, what would you do differently?
That's an interesting question. And I'll tell you what, I was born and raised in Queens, so I know a lot of people in Queens. The reason why I chose Queens, because normally, I say this all the time in my other videos, like normally I'd be working in Manhattan and doing some kind of Manhattan style business is what I like. But being ABC, like a Chinese person that speaks English, and the way Flushing exploded, and the property price exploded and the network exploded, it made a lot of sense for me to just work out of Flushing. And because I grew up here and because of my background. And one important thing to note is that now I'm stuck here. So there's too much, like I said, once you have these resources here and you get it rolling, and those resources build in one location, if I were to move, I would have to start it all over again, which is fine. I could carry some things with me, but I can't carry my contacts with me, right? So I am stuck here, but I like it here. And if I had to pick a place, one thing to look at is the potential of the area. Of course, this is a job to make money. But also it's the other thing I would consider is like, if you're going to be stuck there for a while, do you want to be there? Like, you don't want to go someplace just for money, or maybe you do, but most people would want to also enjoy the place that they're at. If I were to do something different, to be honest, I don't know. Making mistakes is a part of this business. It's a part of life, and what I've learned to is get good at making my mistakes. So there's more mistakes to come. It's just let's just go full speed. I don't really think about stuff like that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your question. Anyone else? I got James.
Hey, Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, James.
Hey, how's it going? Quick question. So how much would it cost to for CoStar? Let's say if you want to, I guess as a newbie, we don't really need it at this point, right? But it seems like there's a wealth of information you could get from it as far as your research.
Yeah, like, so there's ways to get around it. Like, CoStar is the same company as LoopNet. So similar to like how you would have all the data organized in the MLS, but you could still go on Zillow, you could like just dig around LoopNet and like pluck out the properties manually. CoStar, I believe, is like $500-600 a month. Well, that's with LoopNet and stuff. So we have a package here that includes like our LoopNet marketing and stuff, but I would have to imagine it's like $500-600 a month. And it's really important to have if you're hopping around to different locations. But if you have support of a brokerage company that knows the pricing, or even people that know the pricing, you don't have to have it. What usually happens is if you work for a big commercial company, JLL, CBRE, Cushman & Wakefield, they have these master accounts that every agent has it, and you can kind of learn it. And some people don't even learn it because it's like given to them and it's such a waste. On the other hand, in Queens, all of these that you will go to and that you recognize that you could potentially work at, they're not going to have CoStar. It's too expensive. So what people do is like the medium ground in Queens is work for a smaller boutique brokerage that really has an expertise in an area, and that way you can rely on the other brokers and stuff to kind of get up to speed and learn what pricing is, which you cannot get at like the regular residential agencies. They're too focused on residential. Usually the head broker doesn't even know the commercial stuff. So it's tough, man.
Gotcha. So if we do, so by joining Project Queens, then we can leverage. Are we doing some sort of cost sharing with the CoStar? I guess we're still having our overhead when it comes to paying for the MLS.
No, because CoStar is very strict and they have one licensed user, and I'm not messing with CoStar. CoStar is, I respect them too much, and they're very, 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 you do not mess with CoStar, right?
No, so, I hear you. No.
What would happen is like, if you get to a point where you want it, and just working in the company, you'll know when you'll want it or not, then you get your own license. And aside from that, I mean, you could work with the company and database. So there's brokers here, and particularly myself and our manager, like any area in Queens, for the most part, like we know it already. We've done so many deals. We have so many listings. Like figuring out the price, like this step of this class, we're going to figure it out pretty easily. It's not like a dead end. Now, if you're doing it on your own at home, then it very well could be a dead end.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think the advantage, the way you were mentioning, the fact that you are localized, you centralized, you specialize in Queens, I guess, and I do feel that I mean, maybe you agree with me or not, but for the beginning, I guess we're not going to need, we're just going to rely on resources from you guys, you know, for as far as
Correct.
the information that we get from CoStar.
Yeah, and the reason and the reason is it's not cost effective. It was if it was cheaper, then everyone could have it, you know. But it's super expensive, so it only works if you're like really serious about this business. And just keep in mind that we're not just talking about locations, not just Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, not like Jackson Heights, LIC, Flushing, Jamaica. We're also talking about different product types, right? So if you're doing investment sales of multifamily,
Right.
if you're doing office, if you're doing retail, like it's not just a linear line of this, that. It's a matrix of these areas plus these product types, and then you find pricing like that. It's like I'm not reinventing the wheel when I'm saying it's good to find a niche. You know, this was suggested to me by everybody.
Yep. No, I appreciate it. Thanks. That was very helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thanks for the question.
Hey, Michael, sorry, I'm gonna chime in for one more question, if that's okay.
Of course.
All right, so I just shared in the group chat. Obviously, CoStar, LoopNet are great tools in the marketplace, but there are a few alternatives. Probably you heard CompStack, Renomy, Real Analytic, and CrackC. You know, they're the kind of the new disruptor in the marketplace, and CoreLogic, which is more institutional. I'm curious whether are you thinking about any alternative tooling for LoopNet and CoStar, because they're somewhat dominant in the marketplace and they're quite pricey for folks who are just joining the market. Is there an alternative?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I'll tell you my experience with these companies. So because this is all I do, and correct, CoStar is dominant. They have the best information, they have the best service, it gets up to date the most, and it's because it's like a network effect. Everyone uses it. I pay for it, right? CompStack is a free service, quote unquote free, where you can like get some free comps, and like you get like 5 free comps a month, and like as you add comps you can take comps, is like this exchange service. And what I found, and hey, I'm always open to suggestions. I feel like I'm going to learn the most out of doing these videos out of everybody. But last time I used CompStack was like a year or two ago, and their information in Manhattan was pretty good, but not in Queens. Queens is like a little tougher to get, and particularly like in Flushing, where I do a lot of stuff. Flushing is like a black hole of everything. Even in CoStar, it's like there's nothing, because what they do is they call the agents when they see the public record shift, and the Flushing agents a lot of the time is like, "Hi, I'm from CoStar." Blah blah. Click. They don't even speak English a lot of the time. So that's CompStack. Reonomy, I used it before. It was pretty good, but if I'm going to get CoStar, then I'm not going to use Reonomy. Real Capital Analytics is a very, very interesting platform. They didn't have as much comp information, but they had all, like, if you're doing like investment sales, they have like a entity or a person, and you can click it and link every single property they have. So like we used to look at that and analyze a person's buying and selling behavior on their overall portfolio before we spoke to them about the specific property. So I really always like Real Capital Analytics. I haven't used it in a long time. I think for leasing, it's like maybe a little less important, but that's cool. The other two I've never used.
Okay, got it. Yeah, CrackC, just I want to share. So I've used it on the platform for a while. They came out of auction.com. Some guys broke off and believed that they could make a better mousetrap. And I think they're getting sued by CoStar right now for getting into their turf. So it's like, who's taking my cheese, right? So yeah, definitely.
Mess with CoStar. CoStar's watching this. If I messed up in any way, just call me right away. I'll fix it immediately. I'm not. That's one of the few people I do not want to mess with.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah. We're good. Anybody else? We have 8 minutes. Okay, I think we're good. So we're gonna end here. I'm gonna post up what's going on next week. I believe, if I look at the calendar properly, we have 2 more weeks. of class, and then Friday happens to fall exactly on Christmas 25th, exactly on New Year's Day the 1st. So I'm gonna spare you from these classes so you can spend time on the holidays. But we'll post everything up, and you will see what's next. Thanks everybody for joining. We're getting more and more people watching. We're getting more and more views on YouTube. So this is really awesome. And anyone, any suggestions, comments, if I said anything wrong, let me know. I love to learn as much as you guys. All right, so thanks everyone.